recommended to price it at like $199. They wanted to list it at $214.9 because they want to see.
Right.
Even though you've educated them, you've told them the market, you've gone over numbers. And so anyway, 6 months later, you're still working with them. They've dropped a little, but they're still not at that $199 price point. They're now at $213.
Okay, we all got it.
They keep going round and round. I keep educating them, and their response back to me is, just have them bring me an offer. Just bring me an offer. I'll work with them, but just bring me an offer.
Well, if it's been 6 months, I'd say obviously, and if we've had showings, I'd say obviously your plan's not working.
48 no offers.
Typically, when I'm doing my listing presentation, I go, it's my job to be honest with you about where I think your home will sell. There's no magic crystal ball that's going to tell us that, though. And then we talk about, staging, make ready, your responsibilities, blah, blah, blah. I give them a range, and if they choose to list at the high range or at what I call your price, not my price, then I usually have an amendment with me and say, in 2 weeks, if we're not getting this price, we're going to reduce it to this. Are we in agreement that we need to do that? And I get the amendment signed when I get the listing agreement signed, if they'll do it. At least I've presented it to them and they know it. So when it is 3 months later and they look at me and go, I just had one recently, she's come down like $1,000 because some realtor in Houston told her you could make an itty bitty change and it made a big difference. She finally texted me the other day and said, I'm ready to go to $389. Are you okay with that? And I said, if I remember correctly, that's what I told you to list it for in January. Yes, I'm okay with that. We're just 4 months too late doing it. So the key is if you got that paperwork up front and you discussed it with them, you can always go back to that. So you're not the bad guy in the situation. You're the one. And I tell them too, it's not an exact science. We have to reevaluate this about every 3 weeks to see where we stand. Because the market changes. What people tell us when they come in the property changes. Don't be so set in your ways that it's hard for you to backtrack. We always have to be able to backstep a little bit. So don't be too committal in your price. So.
Do you mind if I add to that?
No, not at all.
There is a video called Pricing Your Home to Sell by David Knox. And
Great
if you had somebody like that, I would have them watch that. I say it says it a lot more eloquently than I do, but ultimately they're hurting themselves. Because if they overprice the home, they're priced here and the market is here, and I show them. If you're priced here and the market is here, you're eventually going to have to reduce, maybe 6 months later. Now you're finally priced at market, but guess what? Your home's now been on the market for 6 months. And now anybody that is interested in that home thinks, I'm missing something.
Yeah.
Why do I want this home that nobody else has wanted for 6 months? So ultimately it's going to price below where it should price. Or it should sell. And then Mary Harker, when I first got into business, gave me a script, which is also it's cute script, depending on who you're talking to. But she said, it's like you're fishing. So if your price, you're in the water, all the fish around here nibbling. These are all priced correctly. All the fish are nibbling at it. But your hook and your little worm is way up here. No one's nibbling up there. Wouldn't you want to be down there where all the fish are nibbling? Because they're not mind readers. The buyers are not mind readers that your people are willing to come down $15,000 on their price. They're not, and no one is even nibbling. Wouldn't it be better to get some nibbles and stick stronger to your price than not have any nibbles at all? So.
Yeah, to add that, you might want to also say, so the number one questions buyers ask when they walk into a property is what? How long has this house been on the market? Do you want it to be sitting here and that is the number, and it doesn't matter, but bottom line is that's the number one question that they ask, which is so cool. Now we can see the cumulative days, but they're going to ask that about yours. So it's an education process, but it's so much easier to educate them before you get the listing. Sometimes in this market, it's okay to lose a listing. Being a second agent is not a big deal if someone's really stubborn. It's not a bad place to be. What's the old adage? You want to be the first child, second wife, and third realtor, whatever it falls in. But there's something to be said for that in some markets if your client's not willing to listen to you. So.